let me ask this controversial question. I know that you're a journalist as well. Let's talk about journalists. Are we practicing our profession well?
If you ask me,
the ethical and moral bit of it, are we practicing it well?
Majority of them, no.
What are some of the things that we're doing wrong as journalists?
We are a friend to the society.
Right.
But now it's gone to the extent that people do not even have credibility for journalists. If you've gone to run an interview with a client or somebody who you want to put on your show, or you want to write a story about the person, and you go, first question is, how sure am I that when you finish the story, you wouldn't turn it to favor you? What is making the environment lose interest in the things that we are doing as journalists? Is because the predecessors or people who are within the space are perhaps not doing certain things right. Some are going in for bribery to be able to turn stories against other people and whatnot. And so those things actually push us into the category of realizing that our ethics are not being practiced according to how it's supposed to be. And so even most journalists are not even registered with the association. You don't even know there's an association. Just like the lawyers and the nurses and the doctors, they have an association. You are inducted. So you know that you have a code of ethics. You know that you have a license number. In case you mess up, your license will be withdrawn. And you may not be able to practice. But unfortunately, in our situation, it's not so. We would wish for something like that to exist, because then it will push people to do the right stuff, knowing that if I am even pronouncing someone's name wrong on air, it may affect my salary, it may affect my profession, it may even affect my license that I hold. And people will take responsibility for the things that you're supposed to do right.
Right. Now, how do we build career and personal brand?
It starts from the inside out. When I speak of the inside out, what am I saying? Everything we process, everything we think, we become. And so if you want to build your career, you should first think it. Put it on paper. Check how practical it is. If I'm going into this field, it means I'm dedicating my whole life to it. Or maybe I want to do 10 years of my life within this field, or 20 years of my life within that field. And so within this 20 years, a typical example again is Ama's case.
Yeah, of course.
6 years in law school, that's a very long time. So even if I had certain ill attitudes and all that society does not embrace, I would want to shelf that for a while, for that six-year period, because people would not look at the case of even passing out or even being called to the bar.
Sure.
Amma is called to the bar. She's now a lawyer, and she's not getting cases. She's with a firm, and then whenever she's put on a certain case, people will say, I don't want Amma to. Why are they saying so? Because of content they
she didn't know. The story really, it baffles me. She didn't know all of this.
I'm sure she did. Because I've cited some of the videos, and I can tell where Amma is trying to hide the nose ring, even taking off accessories because she's in the office, because she's aware of her environment. She knows it's not permitted within the space. So she knew.
Now, let's talk. Do you think her fees, her tuition fee, should it be returned to her?
That I think we should leave to the council, because irrespective of her flaws, she's actually sat for all the exams, which actually accounts for the fees that she's paid, the knowledge that she's been able to acquire. It's coming within the space. Maybe, just maybe, because of the kind of job I do, I can tell that maybe this is not the field for Amma. The experience was necessary for her to be able to identify accordingly what she as a person is supposed to do or even become. Majority of the people you find in different career spaces do not even know that that is not where they're supposed to be. Because your strength, your weaknesses, your failures, your opportunities,
they're all part.
They're all part. Your worth. There was a time I dealt with a client and I asked, what legacy do you want to leave behind? In 5, 10 years, 20 years, if you're no more, what do you want people to say about you? And he was blank. And this is a doctor who has just named the awards. He's confused and he's like, I've never thought about a legacy. And so if you're a career person, you're thinking of developing yourself within a certain space or industry, think about the legacy you want to leave behind.
So what are the processes we need to go through in building a personal brand?
You need to know your worth. That is number one. Number two, know the opportunities you have around you. Check out for the tools and partners that you would need, because every industry, every career person, every personal identity you want to build needs partners and tools. If I want to be speaking on platforms or even say I'm a life coach, I want platforms like this. I want to be on TV, I want to be on radio and all of that. These are my partners.
Right.
So I don't want to do things that would hurt my partners that may not allow or enable them to call me. And so I want to check out for all of these stuff.
And then the tools, I'm confused myself. The tools?
Their tools, I need my voice.
Right.
So I would not go use my voice for the wrong stuff. Everything I do with my voice speaks volume on my personal brand. And so I don't want to share just my voice anywhere. There are some certain conversations I may have knowledge of, but you'll never hear my voice. Because I value my voice. I want people to be able to identify me with credibility. I want people to be able to identify me with trust, honesty. Because if a client is coming into my office and saying that, okay, I have X problem with my husband, I think we are not compatible, we want to separate and blah, 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 and I'm supposed to make a referral to a professional within that space, the person is supposed to trust me. And so if I'm not trustworthy, then there's a problem. And these are things I hold dear to myself.
Right.
So anybody within the space who wants to work on their personal brand, work on their career, should know what their worth stands for. You want what people want to see credibility in within you. You want to check out for failures. It's okay for any and everybody to fail. And so, Amma, it's fine that you failed at this one, but that's not it. You should gather yourself and then look into other areas that can actually help you. You want to check out on your weaknesses. Sometimes our weaknesses become our strength, and in other terms, too, our strengths become our weaknesses. Some people get so overwhelmed with their strength, and you realize that they're overdoing it. Sister, your kasado do. As an voice, na no yado do. Perhaps she's supposed to train it appropriately. Voice, okay, the voice is fine, but she needs to go a little step beyond just it being fine to training it to be okay for the ear for people to listen to. And so you want to check your weakness, your strength, the failures, and the opportunities around you. That way you can be able to navigate it right. One key thing that a lot of people do not pay attention to is the finance of every career and every personal identity you want to have.
Let's talk about that.
So we have people who want to say, I want to become a TV presenter, and forget that it comes with responsibilities.
A lot of sacrifices.
They forget that it comes with finance. You want to look a certain way, it comes with the finance. And so whilst you are in school, thinking through all the things you want to become, I tell you, save as much as you want to save. Every industry requires a certain level of initial capital for you as a personal identity. A personal brand, you want to wear a certain clothes, you want people to see you with a certain eyeball, then you want to invest appropriately in yourself.
Right. So who needs personal branding? Is it just for career people? Okay.
The reason why I say the educational system is failing us is because this is not kept in our basic education.
It's not even
from primary to GHS to SHS. This should be basic. I should know what my personal identity should look like. And in going into whatever field, I should be expectant of morals and then values. We find some of these components within our social studies and then we have in religious studies. But it goes way beyond it. My personal brand should be able to, these things should be taught in senior high schools. Before I come out of Obi or Honuma where they want to go into, let's say, police. Some people may never go into the university. But we forget that they still exist within society. They still need to keep their composure for certain things that they want to do. Unless some of them, based on family, friends, they're able to pick a cue here and there, learn by themselves. But every individual in the world, once you want to be successful, once you want to meet a certain standard, you need personal branding.
Right. Nana, you've said a lot. Now, what are some of the benefits of personal branding?
Someone would see me on TV and say, I want to be like Nana. That is a benefit.
That's number one.
That's number one. You would have people who want to become your proteges, people who want to learn from you. And then it makes you an authority within the space that you find yourself. And so that becomes number one priority. What are people going to think? What are people going to say? Are they going to hold on to me tight? And am I doing the right stuff? Because within your ethics, you find out that you're able to make decisions of good and wrong. And so if you're finding yourself within the space of personal branding, you want to ask yourself questions like, am I doing the right stuff? Are people accepting me the way I want them to accept me? If they are not accepting me, am I doing my assessment right? What are the things that are going wrong? What are the things that are going right? And so you should, if anybody within any space, you should be able to run assessment for yourself, for your personal brand.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, can one be wrong with regards to how they brand themselves?
Yes, absolutely. A lot of people are wrong with how they brand themselves. So I know of a doctor who's been into my office. He came with a case of he being so attached to alcohol. And everybody would ask, for a doctor, a medical doctor, really, alcohol, how couldn't he stay away? Everybody has weaknesses.
Of course.
Right. And he's identified it at least to know that he's becoming alcoholic and it's not helpful to him. He may not be able to solve it all by himself.
Smoke.
Yes. He may not be able to solve it all by himself. He needs someone to guide him. And so our job as coaches are supposed to be the everyday guide for you. We check on you, we make sure that the things that the goals that you set, I can't set the goals for you. And for whatever success you're looking at having, I can only stand behind and cheer you on and say, oh, you've done it. You said you were going to do it and you did it. But if it becomes successful, the joys and everything lives within your heart. And so if you really want these things to work for you, you set a plan. You want to stick to the plan and make sure that it's moving accordingly. In the case where things are not going so well, you always have to run an assessment. This I tell most of my clients. Assessment is important. Macheke, I think lately my dressing, my sense of dressing is a bit dull. People used to speak a lot when I wear heels. Now I don't wear heels anymore. What are they saying? Are my friends comfortable when I wear heels? Are people comfortable? And I realize, okay, when I'm in heels and I'm speaking, my level of confidence goes a bit higher. It tells that, okay, I'm doing something right. If it is not going high, then it means there's a problem. You need to actually check it.
I see. Let's talk about temperament. Does it have a role to play in building personal brand?
Yes. Everything a human does is based on their temperament. So I may see this bottle of water and see something different. You will see this bottle of water and only see that, oh, I'm thirsty, let me just drink it.
Yeah.
I may see it and begin to think about what other things I can do with it aside just the drinking of the water. And so our traits play a very important role in our personal identity, equally within our careers. So we do this kind of trainings as well. In the case where you find yourself within a team, even with your work, even in family, there's this child who is very quiet, the other child is all over the place. The person's sanguinity is all over, like very bubbly. They want to be in every conversation.
Everywhere.
You don't ask them questions. They will speak and speak and speak. There's the other case where they are not actually interested in anything at all. And so you realize that kind of personality. You want to say, okay, this kind of personality, because of these traits, that trait, can fit within this career space.
Right.
Because of that trait, they can fit within this particular space. And so it plays a very important role.
Right.
And it's just unfortunate most people do not even know their traits.
That is it. That is it. Right.